So after getting inventory of everything I had on hand, I was able to get an idea of how creative I could actually be this year in my garden. I did not start planting seeds. I did not start to get stressed out about getting going this year, because over the years, I've come to the realization that if you plant seeds and you don't have a place to grow them, then you're not going to have a successful garden. Over the years of applying and getting more proficient at a technique called the 6 Thinking Hats by Edward de Bono, I've been able to get more efficient at going through what it takes to be able to get creative. A lot of people don't take into consideration how much energy it takes to actually be creative. I'm not talking about just thinking about something. I'm talking about thinking about something and going all the way to incompletion, where you actually are able to hold a tangible item in your hand that you originally created in your mind, and now you have in your hand in a tangible good. And whatever that is, like we talked about, this greenhouse behind me, when after going through and taking inventory of everything I had, I was able to realize, hey, look at all this additional material I have. And I was able to get that material and put up additional greenhouse. In addition to that, it wasn't just about putting up that greenhouse, because remember, creating a perfect garden isn't about someone else's standards. It's about doing it to the best of your own ability. And when you do that, then you've created something that you can call perfect. So with the second greenhouse and having these materials, I was like, okay, well, I can put a greenhouse together and I could put it right outside the patio. Wouldn't it be such a beautiful experience being able to walk outside the greenhouse, pick my lettuce and walk straight back in, and right there I have my lettuce for the day, and right there I have my salad for the day? Or wouldn't it be nice to be able to just come and sit down under somewhat of a shady patio? Because I know my patio actually gets really hot because of the red stones, and the sun, it gets beat down from basically 5 o'clock in the morning all the way till about 4 or 5 in the afternoon before side of the house begins to create a shade for the patio. But the whole day, the patio is kind of, no one wants to be out there sitting down. And so through this entire process of being able to take inventory and then also assess my growing environment, or what I had to assess the potential of my growing environment, I was able to create something in my mind that I thought would not just be enjoyable to build, but at the end of this year, I would probably have a successful garden. So step 1 was to take inventory. Step 2 was to allow my brain to become a little bit more creative, which is wearing the green hat. So initially I was wearing the white hat. The white hat is facts, and taking inventory is being very factual. I don't want to spend money this year taking inventory of your resources. Money is one of those facts. Maybe you only have a few $100s, and you got to make sure to put it to the bills, electricity and other stuff. Well, that's a fact. So you're wearing that white hat, and what I'm discussing right now is the 6 Thinking Hats by Edward de Bono. So after taking that white hat, actually let me take a step back. So there's no right way to go through the process of the 6 Thinking Hats through Edward de Bono. The first hat I wear though is the red hat, and the red hat is your feelings hat. The reason why I wear that hat is initially, before ever making a decision, is because it forces me to run it through my values filter. And if it's in line with my values, then I know I'm going to be proud of my decision at the end of whatever the outcome is. So then wearing the red hat and asking my feelings, I then ask myself, well, what feelings am I going to feel if I'm able to hold food in my hand that was able to sustain my family in some level? And I actually have an emotional calendar I process. So after analyzing my feelings and knowing I'm going to feel good, then I wear the white hat. And the white hat is the facts hat. And just like what we were talking about earlier about taking inventory of everything I had, that's exactly what I did. It wasn't just inventory what I had on hand of greenhouse material and fertilizer and nutrients and soil, but it was also about my money. What money did I have on hand? And taking all those things into consideration, I was able to create a box basically for my creativity, which the next hat I wore was the green hat. And the green hat is the creativity's hat. That allowed me to sit down and create a plan. Over the years, so quickly I've wanted to take action, and by doing that, I end up completing it. But every time I complete it, I realized if I would have took time to think about it, I would have been able to probably save 20% of what I spent. Nowadays, I actually take a few days to plan it out to the best of my ability before I start taking action. So after taking a couple days to be creative wearing that green hat, I then started with what's going to give me the most amount of structure, which was the greenhouse. A lot of times when people initially are starting projects, they don't know where to start. And what I normally tell them, well, I'm vegetarian. What I used to tell them was, how do you eat an elephant? The answer is, anyone knows? Put a comment below. I'd love it if you pause and actually put a comment below before you hear the answer. If not, the answer is one bite at a time. Now, because I am vegetarian, I tell my kids, how do you paint a painting? One stroke at a time. And that's exactly how you're going to get your project done. Even if you start with Z, okay? As long as you complete Z before you move to Y, even if you're going backwards, you're still going to complete the whole process, okay? Just realize though, you have to complete Z. For me though, taking a few days, plan everything out, get a piece of paper and a pencil and a measuring tape really, and just measuring out all the space I have and where I want to grow, that then further creates structure to my creativity. A lot of times people's ideas begin to go crazy, and by doing that you get out of your budget, and when you spend too much money or you run out of resources, you end up not completing what you wanted to complete, and by doing that you begin to develop poor habits. And so by planning things out prior to getting started, you're actually fundamentally developing healthy habits for yourself. And if you're a father or you're a mother, you're going to be a healthier example for your own kids. Back to that green hat. I got creative, I sat down, I got a pencil, paper, measuring tape, measured everything out, and I began to just think of a few ideas. After I thought of a few ideas, I switched my hat from my green hat to my yellow hat, and my yellow hat is my cheerleader hat. It's what could go right, and going over and asking the rest of the family, would you be excited if we grew our food? Would you be willing to contribute if we started this project? And kind of starting to get them involved with getting some cheerleaders or groupies in a sense behind your vision. Because if they don't want to do what you want to do, I'm not saying you won't be able to complete it. It's just going to be a little bit more strain on your own shoulders. And so going through this process efficiently, it takes an idea and actually brings it into fruition and doesn't alienate your entire team through this process. After you have that plan and you begin to take action, the first thing I would do at that point, either the night before you go to bed, you just sit down and you ask yourself, what do you want to complete tomorrow? What do you want to get done tomorrow? And set a goal for yourself. Don't have 2-3 things, maybe have 2 things, and have your main thing and then that secondary thing that would complement the first one, which means that if for some reason you needed to stop working on that first one to work on the second one, for some reason it's to help complement the first one. And so what I mean by that is, once again, this greenhouse I put behind me, when I put it together, it was a little flimsy with just the poles. And so what I did is I brought out the wood and I began to build the greenhouse. From after putting the greenhouse, I put the cross beams, which was the Solex. After that, I put the shade cloth, which created more structure and created a little bit healthier environment for the crops I wanted to grow in a specific area. So when I started this process on building the greenhouse, my goal was to complete the greenhouse. I didn't want to work on the growing environment yet. Which temperature, humidity, that's what I mean, growing environment. I just wanted to build the greenhouse. Although when I was pulling things out of the garage, I just didn't pull the greenhouse material out. I grabbed a few other things that I would probably need through this entire process, or that could potentially help me complete the greenhouse and create a better environment, so that if I did complete the greenhouse, I could move right into project B and it would kind of be like a bonus. I promise you, if you begin to work with this mindset, within about a week's time, you're going to begin to see all the structure. And it's not going to be heavy or daunting. You're not going to be exhausted at the end of the day, mentally exhausting. You're not going to be you're going to be physically exhausting because you're going to be productive, but you're not going to be mentally exhausted and fatigued. And every single day when you get at the end of the day, you're going to be able to see your work and you're going to know that things are getting done. I hope this video was helpful. I know this video is a little bit long, but I think understanding the mindset of a master gardener will keep you on the path to success year after year. Thank you so much. Please subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and have a great grow.